This seminar for today is not the usual seminar that we usually that the museum holds. This is more of my sharing of what we have done in our series of fieldwork in Sibuyan, and how that fieldwork, the data from that fieldwork opened some opportunities for me to visit some of the places that I have been dreaming of going to back when I was still an undergrad. Yeah, so one of them is the Field Museum of Natural History. Okay, so it's more of a timeline of how we started with our engagement in Sibuyan, particularly in Mount Giting-Giting. So the background on the uppermost photo is one of the peaks of Mount Giting-Giting, that's called Mayos Peak, one of our sampling sites for my thesis. Okay, so we started our work in Sibuyan in 2015 when we were invited by a Peace Corps volunteer, Isaac Perlman. He was working with the DNR, particularly the management of Mount Giting-Giting Natural Park, to help them with the management of the park. So he invited the museum through Mount Amy and Sir Philip to have a training for the staff of the park to improve their management, the monitoring system, the biodiversity monitoring system. So I was with Jeboy and Mount Amy and Sir Philip that time. That was the very first time that I have seen that island and that mountain, which I eventually fell in love to. Mount Giting-Giting is one of the, I think, one of the most beautiful mountains in the Philippines that you can visit. And then I decided to go there for my thesis. So in 2016, we went there so many times, and we started our fieldwork in 2016. So we had our first fieldwork on October to November 2016. This is the wet season of our sampling. So this is unusual than other sides of the Philippines, from the Philippines. During this period sa ibang lugar ay medyo dry. But in Sibuyan, this is totally wet. This is totally wet months. So that's part lang yun yung team namin in 2016. So that's sa Mayos Peak. So kasama dito si Tam, the only lady on Okay, so some highlights from our 2016 field work. That was the longest hike that I did in my entire life. So from the base camp, it was at least 9 hour long hike. We were composed of a team of 15 people plus. During the first day, we had 25 porters to bring our things, field stuff to our first camp, which is at Mayos Peak. It was really cold, particularly on the higher elevation. So the average daily temperature for Mayos Peak is around 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. It's still high, but the humidity is almost constant to 100. So pag nagsama na yung dalawa, it's really cold up there. And it's totally wet. So with the humidity of 100, almost 100 every day, medyo ano na yun, parang halos araw-araw umuulan. And the rain is really walang tigil. Walang tigil yung ulan from morning to morning again. During the 2016 fieldwork, in this graph, yun yung average daily temperature and relative humidity for the month of October and November. Recorded 4 species of fruit bats and 8 species of insect bats. So this is higher than what has been recorded by the team of Kini and Steve Goodman back in 1989 and 1992. Most of my data was on the month-long recording of bat activity, plus the month-long recording of weather parameters like temperature, humidity, plus I did also sampling of insects. Later on, sa sunod ko sigurong seminar, I will present yung results ng lahat ng to kasi sa ngayon, wala akong masasabi sa inyo. Hindi ko pa alam kung anong story ng mga yan. On the process pa lang yan. So, yung photo dito, yun yung camp namin. Sobrang foggy kasi kahit anong gawin namin ay nakukuha ng camera yung fog. One of the highlights of 2016 was this bat. This is one of the bats that I really wanted to see before. So this is Niptimini raborai, the one species that was named after Dr. Discores Labor. This is found only in islands of Cebu, Negros, and Romblon group of islands. Surprisingly, this is quite abundant in Mount Giting-Giting, lalo na dun sa lower elevation. And they are really nice bats. They're this big and really fluffy, really soft. Yeah. And unlike Tenochirus ligore, they are easier to handle. They are not as wild as Tenochirus ligore. Although medyo maingay din sila, pero medyo mababait. Ayan, so that was really a highlight kasi it's an island endemic. So you can just see them if you go to those islands and do field work. So that we did another round of field work for the dry season on May to June of 2017. That was last year. This is basically a repeat of what we did on the 2016 field work. After namin magawa yung 2016, parang nasanay na siguro kami sa kalalakad. So yung pag-akyat namin from the base camp to Mayos Peak, mas mabilis na, mga 8 hours na lang. So 1 hour less. Pero yung pagod, sa tingin ko pareho lang. Hindi na bago yung pagod. Yung pulikat, yeah, parang pareho lang din naman. Pero dahil alam na namin yung area. So ay itong puno na to, yung vegetation na yan, ay nakita na namin to before. Ito yung trapping site namin before. So, malapit na yung sunod. So, kind of pangpatanggal ng pagod. Medyo malamig pa rin nung time na yun, mas malamig. Medyo malamig pa rin nung sa Mayos Peak. Around 19 or 20 ang average daily temperature. But it was drier. As in dry. Yun yung talaga yung wala kaming ligo kasi yung tubig namin ay pang-inom lang at saka pang-luto. Tapos yung there were cups na yung tubig, yung pinagkainan namin, we had just yung kailangan na lang namin siyang punasan ng tissue kasi yung tubig na ipapanghugas namin, kailangan pang kuhanin from the lower elevation which is at least 2 hours one way. Eh nakakaawa yung mga porters. Kita nyo na medyo mas fluctuating yung temperature at saka relative humidity for the whole duration. Meron yung gap from June 7 to June 12 kasi we did the training for the park and faculty and students of Romblon State University. This is part of our initiative to the DNR and as part nung application namin, nung grant sa Ruford na we have to provide training for the locals para ang long-term goal kasi nung project talaga sa Sibuyan is to build capacity for local researchers na hindi na natin kailangan pumunta doon to do research because they can own the island and conduct their own research and publish them in journals. So that's the long term. So one of our small steps to that goal is to establish to build capacity for local researchers. Encourage students na mag-pursue ng fields into biology or forestry. Ayun. So ito yung team namin, may mga nabago, may mga inalis kami kasi problema namin pag nasa field, yung mga pag-inom. Pero generally, the people in Sibuyan are really nice. Kapag pumunta kayo doon, kilala kami ng mga tao hanggang doon sa palengke. Alam nila yung mga researchers from UPLB na nag-field noong 2016 na 2017 kasi may mga issue before na na-involve kami. Kaya, pero generally, generally speaking, the people in Sibuyan are really nice. They are very welcoming. Kapag doon na kayo fieldwork, medyo kailangan nyo talaga silang pasapin kasi iba yung rates nung kapag mountaineer ka. Kasi yung mountaineering, ang traverse ng Mount Giting-Giting, it usually takes 3 to 4 days, 2 to 4 days to finish. And one day nung isang quarter ay 1,000 pesos for 3 persons. So medyo costly siya. Kung ikaw ay isang thesis student, tapos ganun yung rate na hihingin sa'yo, tapos 1 month, so ibig sabihin, isang month sa isang quarter, kailangan mo ng at least 30,000 pesos, which we cannot really afford. So, kailangan meron tayo coordination. Good thing for us, we were friends with the park superintendent, with Paso Malvin Rosero. And he's very supportive of what the museum is doing in Mount Giting-Giting. So, he helps kung he helps do sa logistics, kung sino yung mga tao na pwede namin kausapin. Ayan. And then, after the field work, matagal na natenga. Kasi, part of what I'm thinking, of what I want to do in my thesis is looking at activity patterns of bats based on echolocation. So, I use this equipment called the bat detector to record nightly activity of bats along different landscapes, different habitats, and across elevation. But one thing is, I do not know how to use the software. And I do not know of anyone in the Philippines who is also using the same software, which is called Analog W. So, if you do it manually, it will take forever to finish because the month-long recording is, even the night-long recording is very long. It's split into milliseconds, and then you have to look for it manually. So it takes a lot of time, and hindi siya kaya ng computer. But I have a friend in the US who I've been working with since 2014 on bats and rice fields. So we have this project on bats and rice fields, looking at the ecosystem services of bats in agricultural systems. She's Jody said that I have met her a long time ago, back in 2012. So she's using this same software that I want to use. And out of desperation, kasi gusto kong graduate, gusto kong makatapos ng thesis, I asked her if I can visit her to undergo intensive training under her on how to use the software, which she gladly agreed. Excited din siya nung time na yun. Unfortunately, she cannot give me funds. Ayan, so basically that idea provided my ticket to go to this big continent, to the other side of the world. So I visited Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin is the cheese capital of the North of America. And one more thing, when a friend from the Field Museum, who's a friend of Jody, knew that I am coming to her place to visit her for a couple of weeks, he invited me, named Lawrence Hini. He invited me also to visit the Field Museum of Natural History, which is in the city of Chicago, Illinois. So this is Wisconsin, and this is Illinois. So sobrang excited ako kasi diba, it's an opportunity for me to visit other places. And kaso the challenge is I do not have funds for this. Ang ticket pa lang I cannot really afford because it's around 30 to 50,000 pesos, so medyo costly. Plus all the expenses that I will incur when I get there. So Larry and Jody helped me with facilitating the documents for traveling. And officially, Larry became my sponsor through the Field Museum. He became my official sponsor for me to get a J1 visa, which is easier to get approved from the embassy. So J1 visa is for people who are attending short-term training or training programs or exchange students from other countries outside the US. Mas mabilis yung pag-approve nung visa, so facilitate. Plus, it can allow the Field Museum to give or reimburse some expenses that I will incur during the duration of the program. So basically, ginawa namin siyang training program. And, syempre, hindi naman ako pwedeng umasa sa kanila. I sought assistance from the university through the Office of the Vice President for Academic Affairs. So they have this program for researchers or reps to attend short-term training in foreign universities. So I applied for this, although this has not been approved before I left for the US. So yung pera ko talaga na ginastos na ng utang. So it has no assurance na ito ay ma-approve when I so it was a risk na tumuloy kasi hindi ko alam kung paano ako mabubuhay doon. Pero dahil mga kaibigan ko yung pupunta, kaibigan ko na rin sila. Ayan, so I arrived at the US on October 22 and I was here with Lawrence Sini and Jody Sedlak. This is the parking lot of Lawrence University. So it was kind of a dream come true to me to meet this and spend time with these two field biologists who have been doing great work in the Philippines for so many years. So sobrang bait ni Jody, she also facilitated that I can stay for free at the university guest house, which is this one. So yun yung university guest house. Mukha siyang castle. Tapos kasama ko dyan yung mga board of trustees, mga short-term na mga visitors, mga board of trustees, mga special visitors ng university. So this is just across the street sa entrance ng campus. This travel is more of travel of many first time. So first time ko nakakita ng maple tree, di ba? Shucks, ang ganda. Yung totoo, sobrang ganda ng maple trees kapag nakita mo in person. Ang ganda nila sa picture, ang ganda pa sa personal. It was my first time to eat a legit apple pie na may kasamang vanilla ice cream. Ayan. And first time to bake an apple pie. So, yan yung aming special apple pie na mayroong drawing ng paligid. The crust. And when I was there, that was my first time. Kasi nandun ako ay last week na October to November. So, naabutan ko ang Halloween. So, I experienced carving my own pumpkin na kinarap ko ng, syempre, bat. Yung first na pumpkin ko sa bat. And I also experienced the American way of celebrating Halloween, trick or treating. So this is a friend of Jody. Her costume is familiar with Moana. She's the island goddess, the Philippines. So sobrang big deal sa kanila ang Halloween, ang trick or treat. Ayan. So yung mga bata talaga, in todo effort sila sa costume. Inaaway nila yung parents nila kapag wala silang costume. And, siyempre, first time kong na-experience, ito, sobrang konti lang yan, hindi ito malabo, flurry ng ice. So, sobrang konti ka lang yan. Pero nakaranas na rin ako nung hindi ko makakalakad ng mabilis kasi sobrang dulas, kasi covered ng ice yung kasama. Ayun, so, what I did at Jody's lab at Lawrence University is to learn the program called Analog W. So this is a software designed for call recordings of Anabat. So Anabat is a company that provides bat detectors. This particular program is used pwede siyang automatic generation of data. So it can count number of bud pulses or number of bud pulses across night or across the duration of your recording. So this is a sample of the recording that I parang in-scan ko lang through the software kung ano yung mga recording for one night. Unfortunately, yung nakita niyo sa video, those are just noise. walang bat call dun sa particular na recording na yun. So this is how a bat call look like. So this is a rhinolophid call. Characteristic of rhinolophid calls is the long constant frequency component. So in the software, you can also design filters. So you can distinguish a bat from a non-bat. So in that way, when you run the program, it will just count the bats and disregard all the other noise that it will record, because some noise are high frequency, like insects. They produce high frequency sounds which sometimes overlap with bat calls. The sound of rain, it sometimes produces high frequency stridulations, which also reflect in the recording. So for this recording, these are all noise, probably from insect or water or other ultrasonic sources in the environment. So you can design a filter to separate them, to filter them out in your recording. So the dots that are in orange, those are non-bat frequencies. So these are the rhinolophids and these are the vespertilionids. You can also design species-specific filters, which sometimes is very difficult. It depends on the quality of your recordings, on the signal-to-noise ratio of the recordings. Sometimes it's difficult to get that high signal-to-noise ratio because you just can control the environment. You can control when the insects will call. You can control when the bat will be close to the bat detector. So minsan mahirap i-separate yung mga calls, individual causes. Sometimes they overlap. It depends on how close the bats are to the bat detectors. Okay, so using the filter and running a scan, so medyo mas mahaba pang proseso ito, pero pwede siguro isang session pa yun. Using the filter and running a scan of your night-long recordings, which pwede nyo rin pala i-split yung recording nyo into smaller files, which can be read while you do the scan. So when you do the scan, it will count the number of pulses, so number of individual pulses, yung ilang call for a particular time. So pwede mong iset na every minute, every 5 minutes, every hour, every 5 or 3 hours. So ang ginawa ko is I counted the number of pulses every hour for the month-long recordings that I get. So I think this is from the 26, for both. So ito yung number of pulses, average number of pulses for each elevation. So you can see it's a pattern na medyo mas mataas ang bat activity, which is, so the number of pulses is the estimate of bat activity. So the higher the number of pulses means the higher the activity. I mean, bats are getting busy in that particular place, particular elevation. So you can see a pattern that it is higher at the elevation, and surprisingly, during the dry season, sobrang taas na dun sa mais peak at around 1,550 MSL. So isa to sa mga data that you can generate from using the software. You can also look at activity of specific groups. For example, you can look at activity of rhinolophids. versus the vespertilio needs. Unfortunately, I cannot design the filter to be really specific to get both, to get one of the two. The filter always gets part of the other. So, hindi ko pa siya ma-fine-tune. It's more of trial and error. Sometimes it works in a particular recording, but it will not work on the other recording kasi nagbabago-bago yung characteristics nung pulses. Ayan, so for my thesis, I'm just using the general bat activity. Just separate the bat and the non-bat and look at the activity of bats at different landscapes and at different elevations. While I was with Jody at Lawrence University, I also joined her in some of her classes. So I looked at how they do things in their university. So they offer biology classes. So in this exercise, the students are doing some field experiments. So they are looking at the activity, the effect of human presence on the foraging activity of a bird. So they put some feeds on a bowl and distributed it in a prairie. So this is a prairie. So they have a recorder, video recorder, and tinignan nila kung ano yung activity ng mga ibon with respect to the distance to the trail. Kasi yung trail na to regular na may nagjo-jogging. So palaging madalas na may tao. So tinignan nila ano yung response ng mga ibon as they go far from the trail. This particular exercise, nung ginawa namin ko, it was really cool kasi sobrang lakas ng hangin, tapos sobrang lamig. So maraming ideas that we can adapt. I think we can copy from how they teach field biology sa kanila. And we just need some equipment for us to do that. In our case, we cannot just leave our bat detectors or video recorders, lalo na kapag may malapit na tao kasi overnight, wala na yun. Ay medyo mahal lalo na ang mga video recorders, diba, medyo mahal. So yung mga magtitisis ng merong video recording, galing na natin magtago. Ayan, so the entire 2 weeks that I stay at Judy's laboratory, I spent just in front of the computer and using the program. I also used some programs that she is using, the one that Wildlife Acoustics provide, Kaleidoscope, which do more analysis. So mas useful siya kapag yung recording mo ay full spectrum. So the entire characteristics of the call is preserved. So the recording that I have is frequency division. So some of the characteristics of the calls are discarded. You just get the loudest parts of the call. So the soft parts of the call, it's not registered. It's not saved. So I used Kaleidoscope just to look at my calls and meron bang mga tinatawag na phonic types. The calls that I cannot really identify if they are really calls of this bat or this group. For me, they look like bat calls, but they may not be bat calls. So we call them phonic types. This Kaleidoscope is very useful also for non-bat calls. So if you are working on frogs or birds, it is very useful. You can look at activity of these animals across landscapes or across time. Which unfortunately this program is quite expensive. Yeah, so I think the canopy is getting on this program. Yeah, hopefully. But it is powerful in generating information for ecology, for ecological studies. And then the next 2 weeks I spent at the Field Museum. So this is the front of the Field Museum. One of the biggest museums in the United States. They have some of the biggest collections from the Philippines in the United States. Partly because of the long-term research that the team of Lawrence Lin has been doing in the Philippines, plus Steve Goodman and other, those in other groups. Okay, so I spend most of my time in this lab. This is the Philippine Mammal Research Lab. I sat there yung aking lab. Their staff is Leia. Her name is Leia. Siya yung nag-aayos ng mga documents, ng mga specimens, dinadala pabalik at palabas ng United States from the Philippines. Hindi ko talaga ma-pronounce yung kanyang kapitid. When I was there, Larry as a visitor, he is a researcher from our basta sa German ito, si Ryan. He is studying shrews. They are describing a new genus and a new species of shrew from Palawan. So that time, he was staying at Larry's place and working at the Philippine Mammal Research Lab, doing some measurements and analysis. So, exciting yung paper na yun. Hintayin na lang natin yung paglabas. Yes, sir. Ayan. So, this was collected back when Danny was still alive. Danny pa yata yun ang collected. Okay, hindi ko pwedeng spill yung pangalan kasi may ethics pala yung pagpapangalan. Hindi basta-basta dinidisclose hanggang hindi siya publish. Pero exciting, ang ganda nung pangalan na kasi na-overhear ko lang. Small, sorry. Ayan, so, one of my first activities is to check the bug colony. So, ito yung exciting na medyo kadiri minsan. So, they use, what do you call these bugs? Dermestids. They have local dermestids that they collect and they're in the lab. So, these bugs eat the flesh of mammals and birds that they have in their lab para mas mabilis yung paglilinis. Kasi yung pag ang ginawa mo, babad mo lang siya sa tubig, i-macerate mo lang siya. The joints get loose so they get detached. So yung mga basta yun, yung mga oka sa bungo ay nagbibitak-bitak. Ang medyo malaki yung kanilang bug colony, dalawa na kanyang kahaba. Tapos sobrang daming bugs. Tapos mababa kasi kung ano-ano yung kanilang nilalagay sila ng baboy. As in, lahat ng pwede nilang, na kailangan nilang linisin, yung pinatagaan. So, merong isang freezer sa loob na puno-puno ng decaying So, yung amoy doon medyo ayan. One of the things that we can start here, especially if you are doing taxonomy of mammals, which you really have to check the skulls you have to examine the skulls. One thing that we can start is yung small scale lang. So you need to clean like several individuals, like 10 individuals of bats. So i-prepare mo lang yung skulls, prepare the skulls, clean them, remove as many alcohol as possible by washing in water, and you can collect only a few dermestids. Tapos pagkatapos mo nilang linisin, i-release mo lang ilang ulit sila kung saan mo sila kinuha. So pwede kang mag-bait ng baboy. Yung pork na pabubulukin mo somewhere kasi lalapit at lalapit naman sila. They're always attracted to decaying matter, decaying animals. Pero wag nung gagawin yan sa museum na open yung mga exhibits kasi pag nakawala yan, ubos ang exhibits ng museum. Kasi lahat ng amoy decaying matter ay kakainin nila. Ayan, so one of the things that I also did at the museum is to visit the mammal prep lab. Here I did taxidermy. I learned how to taxidermy. Ayan, so yung pag pinanood mo sila, sobrang dali lang nilang ginagawa, mga ilang minutes lang nila ginagawa. Pag ikaw gutom na gutom ka na, hindi ka pa rin tapos. Ayan. So ito yung kanilang mga student volunteers. The museum is very popular for volunteers. Ang dami nilang mga student volunteers. Yung mga fresh graduate na naghihintay pa lang ng trabaho, nagamit ng kanilang trabaho. Even while they're doing their degree, they go to a museum and they volunteer. So, which we also do here at the museum. Kailangan siguro natin lang i-improve to really have a good program na consistent yung activities natin for our volunteers. And merong mga activities or mga protocols at the Field Museum that we can adapt here at the museum, like having a prep lab catalog. In our case here at the museum, for example, merong nagdala ng specimen, nakuha nila somewhere o napulot sa roadkill, tapos dinala dito sa museum. What we do is, we catalog them with what we have. So halimbawa, yung catalog ko, doon nilalagay yung mga dinonate. Yung catalog ko is for research. So, which is not really a good practice pala. Kasi naghahalo-halo yung mga non-research specimens with the research catalog. So, this is what we will start here at the museum para yung mga dinonate sa museum na specimens from roadkill, pwede natin gamitin for teaching. So, isa-separate na talaga natin yung teaching collection from the research collections. And later on, talagang iba na silang units. I also learned how to extract the skull, even from the small miniatures. At first, it was really scary kasi sobrang fragile. Kasi makikita mo na yung utak niya sa labas. Pero it's an easy work. You just have to get at it. Ayan. So this is their wet research collection. So this was most of the mammals, plus the birds, herbs, and fishes. Ito yung mga compactors na yung nag-move na cabinets. Sobrang ganda nung pagkaka-organize ng kanilang wet collection. They have museum grade bottles for the specimens, which we are also trying to get for the MNH. So nagsisimula na tayo na palitan yung mga old bottles natin. Papalitan na natin yung mga Nescafe and Ovaltine at saka kung ano pang
great taste na lang.
yung mga bote na hindi na ginagawa ngayon. Museum, ano na lang yan, hindi sa natural history, sa ibang museum natin. When I was at the Field Museum, I tried to visit as many labs as possible. So I spent some time at the ornithology lab. Nakikiusyoso ako sa mga nagtataxidermy, and inalaw din nila ako mag-taxidermy. I also saw the rubber collection of the Field Museum. Ang dami ng rubber collection sa Field Museum. And they are very useful kasi meron pa silang mga described na species from the rubber collection. So they described, a few years ago they described a new species, a Kamigate species of Loriculus. Ayan. And one of the medyo restricted access kasi to. So I visited their egg collection. So sobrang ganda ng kanilang egg collection. Although they stopped collecting in the early 2000s. Hindi lang sila, kasi wala nang nagko-collect. So natigil yung kanilang collection. But they have collections from the 1900s which are very useful even for ecological studies. Sobrang ganda, kaya lang walang collection sa Pilipinas kasi hindi naman gusto ang collection. Tayo na yun. Ayan, so I think this is what we can start as well sa museum. Simple lang yung kanilang lalagyan, para siyang parang yung library natin. Ang lalagyan niya yung nandun pa ba yung card catalog? Kami na pa kayo sa card catalog. Ako na ba yung muling nakaari sa card catalog? Ganun na ba ang catalog? Yung their storage is like the card catalog for libraries. Ganun lang, tapos nilalagyan lang nila ng photo. I also visited their cryo lab. So this is the preservation of their tissues. Mga liquid nitrogens ang nandyan sa mga so lahat yan ay liquid nitrogen. Nandyan yung mga tissues. So, yung organization, sobrang galing nilang mag-organize kasi ilang taon na nilang ginagawa para hindi mawala yung kanilang tissue. Ayan. Kasi marami silang supply, so hindi sila nauubusan ng liquid nitrogen. Ngayon, hindi pa tayo makapag-liquid nitrogen kasi una, ang hirap ng access natin sa liquid nitrogen plus it's costly. Yung maintenance pa pag-refill natin ng pag-refill ng liquid nitrogen. So ngayon, sis muna tayo sa freezer. Kung meron tayong minus 80 na freezer, that's good also for tissues. One of the must go to sa field museum is their exhibits. They are famous for their exhibits of dinosaurs. Sobrang ganda ng kanilang dinosaurs. I did not finish going through all the exhibits kasi 2 hours lang yung meron ako para umikot. So, as in, nagtingin-tingin lang ako, picture na bang lang. Hindi ko na natapos lahat kasi marami kami kailangan. Ayan, so ito yung exhibit nila ng dinosaurs. Ang ganda ng kanilang exhibit ng geologic time scale. Tapos yung mass extinctions, talaga nakalagay doon yung kung ano yung mga extinct. Sa tingin ko naman, if we have that space, enough space for us, we can do the same. Ang lawak kasi nung exhibit nila. So, ilang floors yung dedicated for exhibits. This is their exhibit of plants. So, they have plants of the world exhibit. What they did is, bawat order ng plants, meron silang representative na species na nakalagay doon yung anong itsura ng plant, plus the flower, plus the fruit, kung fruit bearing, tapos ano pa yung ecological importance nila, yung mga animals that are associated with these plants, do bats pollinate them or do bees pollinate them, like that. So, hindi ko alam kung available na sa Pilipinas yung technology ng pag-produce ng mga, kasi parang plastic yung kanilang plants. Siguro, parang yung mga binibili mo sir na yung medyo foamy na matigas na hindi siya. Pero pinasadya nila yun to look like the natural. 3D printing. Okay. Ang bubungad sa'yo doon ay yung malaking puno ng loob. Yung maraming bunga. Ayan. Some exhibits for, especially para sa mga bata, ito yung pangbata talaga kasi yung mga the questions that you can see in this exhibit are the basic questions. So you choose which is an animal and which is not. So yung isang anong animal na yun? Basta sea animal and coconut sponge. Hindi ko natanda kasi tinignan ko lang. And ito yung side na pangbata talaga kasi yung color hinighlight nila doon na makulay yung exhibit nila plus sobrang konti lang nung text as in description lang nung kung ano yung doon sa nung animal at saka kung ano yung animal. One of the activities that they have at the museum once in a while is they have online videos. So merong isang activity sa museum na binibideo nila tapos live na naka-air. So, nung isang beses ay nag-air sila ng pagtataxidermy ng isang beaver. So, merong isang hall, may isang parang maliit na room doon, tapos pwede pumasok yung mga bisita, tapos meron lang nagtataxidermy, meron nag-video, tapos ito ay live. Nung time na ito ata ay naka-live din sa ibang state. Feature din sa ibang museum. Ayun, so siguro pwedeng isa to sa mga gawing projects ni Kuya Farma. Ayan. One of the extension projects that we can do sometime. FB like taxidermy lang. Ayan. Yeah, that's while at the Field Museum, I met some people who are really nice. And part of my thesis also is characterizing the cause of the bats that I recorded in Sibuyan. To do this, I need another program which characterized the full spectrum call of the bats. So I recorded yung voucher calls ng mga paniki na to, and I used the software bat sound to analyze them. Unfortunately, hindi familiar si Jody dun sa bat sound. So hindi niya ako matulungan. And hindi niya entirely matulungan kasi hindi siya familiar dun sa interface kasi iba yung ginagamit niya. And then I met this guy at the Field Museum. He's one of the authors of the identification guide to bat echolocation calls of Solomon Islands and Bougainville. Siya si Tyrone Beverly. Isa siyang postdoc fellow at the Field Museum. Nung nakausap, nag-bargain lang ako sa kanyang office, tapos sabi ko kung pwede na kumakapagpuntungan. Ayan, so, siya pala ay gumagamit din ng same software ng BatSam, so sobrang laki ko diba. And tinuruan niya ako kung paano automatic na mag-analyze ng call. Kasi dahil hindi nga ako maturuan ni Jody kasi iba yung ginagamit na, I had to resort to manual measurement of the call. So I had to go through every recording and manually measure everything, which is kind of biased kasi depende yun kung paano ko, kung alin ang interpret ko na start, alin ang interpret ko na end. Taught me how to do the measurements automatically. So, ito yung process. So, ito yung itsura ng bat sound. So, you open a call. Ito ay sa call from Cagayan. Nagpapalisita Cagayan. So, you can select a particular portion of the call na gusto mong i-measure. Basta maganda yung signal to noise ratio. So, yung sinelect ko na yun, yung medyo maganda yung quality ng call. And then, merong mga settings na i-adjust ka lang for increasing the resolution of your calls or yung iba dyan, hindi ko alam talaga kung paano i-explain kasi mga algorithms kasi. So, baka sa another lifetime yung bilyan ko na siya. And then you can do the automatic measurement of yung mga parameters. So, pwede kang mag-adjust, depende dun sa quality ng call. And then, automatically siya mag-generate at makikita mo kung saan siya nag-measure. So, makikita mo na pare-pareho yung walang bias na human bias. So, you can copy all those measurements and transfer mo sa isang spreadsheet. Ikamali ako. So, ang nakukuha doon dyan ay yung time ng start ng every pulse, time nag-stop yung isang pulse, and then the duration of the call, maximum frequency, minimum frequency, the peak frequency, or the frequency with the highest energy, and the maximum amplitude. So you can get the average for all this, and that represents the recording for one bat. Dito po ang average. That's recording of 10 pulses or 11 pulses for one bat, 8 pulses for one individual bat. Ang reading lang na ng maximum frequency is in hertz. Usually ang expression of minimum and maximum frequency plus the peak frequency is in kilohertz, so you just divided it by 1,000 and you get the measurements. So I had to do this for all my recordings. I had to stop the manual measurements kasi mas biased ang manual measurements and redo everything. medyo challenging siya sa mga sa ibang species ng bats because they call at yung the characteristic of their call is very soft. It's not really loud for the bug detector to detect. Sometimes if you kahit na ilapit ko sa kanya yung bug detector, hindi siya nagko-call ng maganda yung signal to ng station. So I had to manually check for individual pulses which I can measure. Maganda yung characteristic itsura ng call. Ayan. And when you have the calls, you have unlimited analysis that you can do. Tyrone also gave me the codes for plotting the calls from the sound file to a JPEG file using the program R. So ito yung kanyang output. So this is directly from the sound file or WAV file. You just have to run some codes to extract portions of the call, portions of the recording. So pwede kang pumili kung ano yung particular time lang na gusto i-plot. This shows the range of the calls for each species. The dark black line shows the peak frequency. So there are overlaps between species. Some species, for example, itong Rhinolophus Carpus and Rhinolophus virgo, the overlap is very thin, and the peak frequency, they're very far from each other. So you can use the peak frequency to identify this, if a bat is a virgo or an arcuatus. From my call recordings, I have identified two types of Myotis muricola. The other one has very high frequency, maximum frequency. Tapos magkalayo din yung kanilang peak frequency. So hindi ko alam kung ibang species sila or ano lang siya, or difference lang ng call characteristics. Yeah, so but the point is, if you have these measurements, you can run as many analysis that you have. You can verify the accuracy or the correctness of your identification. You can run discriminant function analysis to see if you have correctly identified them, or if you can identify them from their call. And the percentage that you can correctly identify a bat from their call. The details of those I can present sa after na ng thesis ko kasi yung ginagawa ko pa. Ayan, so those were some of the activities that I did when I visited in the field museum. Hindi ako masyadong walang gala kasi I immersed myself in the laboratory at the field museum and maximize, meet as many people as I can when I was there. Yeah, so thank you.